alright, doing fine. Doesn't really matter if the sun don't shine. It's alright, I say it's okay. We're getting to the end of the day.
Hello and welcome to the behind the scenes interviews for this box set. So let's talk about Six Sec Productions. So Six Sec Productions initially started out in 2009, but under a different name. Initially it was called RJC Productions, and RJC is basically my initials. So basically Ryan James Cheshire Productions was its original name. However, later on, with basically the rise of my YouTube channel, I decided to create a YouTube channel to put my short films on back in 2016, and I decided that to call it Six Sec Productions, to sort of, I like to have all of it, to have Six Sec as a sort of, in a way, like brand recognition. So that's why I decided to rechristen everything beforehand and change the name to Six Sec Productions from RJC Productions. So that's why everything changed from then on. So yeah, in terms of short films I've done, there were obviously there is the sort of film or documentary film / film of when I found my missing video projects that I'd done, and that was done in 2016, where, as it's shown in the video, I literally go through all the VHS tapes and repairing them and finding all of them. And to be honest, that gives pretty much most of the information about that, so to be honest, I won't be repeating that information here. And in terms of behind the scenes for that, well, there isn't really any, because it's exactly what it is on screen. But I will give a bit more information about the first proper short film that I did. And that was in 2009. I did the News Project. And it was basically, I was in year 6 at the time at middle school, second year middle school. I got asked to do a news project about, I think it was something to do with a zebra running across the road, and there was a traffic jam, and basically were given this fake news story that we had to do a news report on. So me doing that, I actually went off and did it. And actually, some of the, it was actually filmed, the bits that were filmed were clearly filmed at my house with basically in the background you can see our garden in the background, which isn't quite finished. But I remember particularly, my dad took me to Freeman Hospital, and we filmed in the Exit Infirmary, I think it was. We actually went there and filmed there. And I remember all of it was filmed handheld. Everything I was filmed handheld, because I didn't yet have a tripod. And in fact, the camera that I was using, that was used for most of my first year of YouTube, like during the start of YouTube, which was just a 480p Olympus camera. There we go. That in 2009 was pretty new. Actually, well, to me it was so I hadn't yet got a tripod for it. So all that was filmed handheld. Looking at it, to be honest, it looks not half bad. To be honest, some of the shots are clearly more shaky than the others, but honestly, it doesn't look too bad for the time. There's a lot of overexposure in that on it, but the reason it went missing for such a long time is basically because I made 2 copies of it. I put it on VHS and on DVD, and I gave both those copies to my teacher, because basically so that I knew that if they couldn't get the DVD to play, then the VHS definitely would. And to be honest, the way that it was done was actually very primitive. Because what was done is I had a recordable DVD player at the time. I didn't actually use any editors because for some reason, the footage wouldn't render properly. So I didn't use any editors, and the way the initial edit was done was not actually an edit at all. It was just the various bits of footage recorded directly onto a DVD, and then from a DVD to a VHS. And these went to teach it. Now, for a while, I still had the footage, like the raw footage. It was on the SD card. Unfortunately, this SD card was only a 2 GB SD card, and at the time that was actually fairly standard size at the time. So, but obviously that fills up eventually, and basically when it came time to delete the footage. However, somehow I had the genius and the sense of basically I didn't have anywhere to put the footage. And I wanted it somewhere safe and somewhere portable. And I did have a load of blank DVDs. So I put it onto one of the blank DVDs, and miracle behold, I still had that. I still do have that blank DVD to this day, and thankfully it didn't occur to disc rot. So it meant that I was able to pull not even the recording of it, the raw files. Well, they weren't raw files. I think they were .avi files. I think they were directly from there. So the actual original files that were recorded on to the camera, I now had. So that's when the edits could begin, and I could edit, including the outtakes. Which, to be honest, for me, that's the only reason I watch it, is because of the outtakes. I remember that waistcoat I had, and God, I loved that waistcoat. That first waistcoat, I had it for so long. That waistcoat, but obviously eventually, I outgrew it. But I remember it was it doesn't show very well on video, but actually it is actually a pinstriped waistcoat, and I just love that thing. I also remember there's a bit of inconsistency in the footage. Is at the start, and I think when I go on location as well, I'm wearing a tie, and I believe the waistcoat is fastened. However, by the end, since there was that many buggers up, by the end, the tie is off, the buttons are undone, and so's the waistcoat. So there's a little bit of inconsistency in that there. But talking about was in video products, finding all of them again was great. Because to be honest, they're ones that I hadn't seen in a long time, and if it wasn't for these VHSs, they still wouldn't exist today. And to be honest, the way that they were recorded was very primitive. It was just a karaoke machine. Although I don't have the one that they were originally recorded on, I do have the exact same model that I got a little bit later on. Because basically the original one I had, the camera in it broke. Because the camera you could rotate up and down. However, this eventually broke after being moved up and down, so I got a replacement one. So it was actually the same, and I actually do still have that one. And actually, you know what? I'll probably show you in a minute. But they were recorded directly to a VHS tape. So you know what? I'm actually going to show you. Okay, so here it is. This is it. This is the actual one. Now, the first one I had was identical to this, except the first one was black, and this one is obviously red because it's an X Factor one. Now, this was actually used to record probably most of them, actually. Maybe not the earlier ones that are shown at the beginning, but most of the ones where it's in, pretty shit quality, where I'm actually holding a microphone. In fact, whenever I'm holding a regular microphone, it was recorded with this, and I think that was pretty much all of them. But this thing actually still works. I press the button. So on the top here, since it's a karaoke machine, there's a CD player. There's actually a karaoke CD in there. The CD player is a bit temperamental. But the camera on it actually does still work. You can see it's actually black and white. But you can actually, if I put it down, you can actually see, oh look, there's the camera that is recording this right now. And you can see me looking at that. So yeah, this is actually a black and white CRT where I can basically mess with the settings. I just turn that off. I can mess with the settings for the CRT on the back here. But that wasn't the main thing. I mean, for one, this is a CRT. I think this thing came out in 2003, 2004. I don't know. I do remember the black one I got when I was incredibly young. But you can see that the camera moves up and down, and this is what eventually broke on my original one. The CD player on this is very temperamental. I have to keep greasing it up. And on the front, it's got 2 mic inputs, and it did come with a red microphone, which I think is at home. But anyway, they were recorded this way about. Basically, the microphone will be plugged into there. Then on the back, you can see we've got composite outputs, and these would be fed directly into my VCR. Which is how the recordings were done. To be honest, I could get better quality out of this nowadays, obviously, because I could hook up to either a recordable DVD player or a capture card. But yeah, it was something that I used for years, and this thing is incredibly heavy. I mean, it's also it's pretty large as well. To be honest, I don't know if this shows how large it is, but I mean, this thing is pretty large and weighs an absolute chunk. It's got a full CRT in there. It's a black and white one, so to be honest, it makes a good mimic of old TVs from back in the day. I think it's a 5-inch screen, and it is actually glass. But yeah, for a lot of them, they were recorded on this thing, and you know, to be honest, the main reason I have kept this nowadays, it's not really out of sentimental values for it, although I do have some. It's mainly for that CRT, black and white CRT. I like it for these days. But yeah, it's something I've kept, and to be honest, it's something I've opened this up before and actually cleaned it out a few times to, keep it in as best condition as I possibly can, because once that breaks, if that breaks and I can't fix it, then to be honest, I won't be able to get another one. And they must have sold them for years, because this red one, I got many years after I got the black one. But yeah, I still have it, and it is a decent, fun little thing. But yeah, I made them just record directly to a VHS tape, which is the only thing I had at the time. And for a while, that was the closest thing I had to an actual video camera, which wasn't, too dissimilar to what actually, people had back in, say, the 70s and 80s. Particularly 80s, and in a lot of cases, even the 90s. So, really, in that case, my technology was pushed back quite a bit by this. But yeah, News Project was, the first real one that I did, and I didn't, at the time, I obviously did not have a YouTube channel or anything, so to be honest, there wasn't really a massive incentive to do other ones, because I just thought they're never going to be seen. To be honest, they're not going to be out there, and there was the very high probability that I was going to lose them. So why even bother in the first place, to be honest. I thought I can't do this on my own. Obviously now things are different, things have changed. So things are very different now. I can do a short film completely on my own. But it is nice to do it with other people. And it's the one and only time that I've done a short film or any video that has featured my dad in it. Well, my mum, off camera. It's the only time my parents have ever gotten involved with that. And that was only because obviously it was a school project. But even with other ones, I mean, to be honest, I never asked for their help with any of the others. I kind of like to go off and do my own things myself with them. But I can always look back at that one, look back at it and go, 10 years ago, that's what I did. And to be honest, I can still watch that to this day. I can still watch it on this day on a so bad it's good level. But also, there's a lot of nostalgic memories. Not just memories of making it, but actually watching it with people as well. And I'm just very happy that this, kick-started me doing short films, really.